Welcome to For the Record. I'm Chandy Chapman. This morning, a look at the need for foster care, especially for children in Pennsylvania. Right now, about 15,000 children in the Keystone State are in temporary foster care. But take a look. The number of licensed foster homes have been dropping over the past several years. I spoke with Jenna Bossi from 412 Foster Project about the need that exists right now. So first of all, we want to ask you, what's the need for foster care in our area and why has it gotten so high?
Yeah, it's not like a unique issue. Like the PA, you'd be pretty hard pressed to go anywhere in the country. A child enters into foster care every 2 minutes in the United States. Here in PA, we have about 15,000 youths who are currently in foster care. And we just do not have enough families to house them, to take them. And Allegheny County represents about 10% of that, 15,000.
Now we know foster care is needed, but it's grown recently, the need for it.
Yeah, COVID changed all the landscapes really, and all over the country, whether it's foster care or any other field. But it really took a hit when COVID hit because of all the funding loss, and also just all the burnout in foster parents, but also with caseworkers who were working in the front lines. We didn't have access to PPE right away. We were still going into homes and doing all the work, and so that was a cause. So we lost a lot of staff, and then we lost a lot of foster parents because all of them, all the outpatient, in all the child care, all the things just completely shut down, and so there was no one there who was helping any of the foster parents. And then we had kids in foster care who were taken out of their home, away from their parents, but they were also not going to school anymore, so they weren't seeing a sibling. So if they weren't placed in the same home with their sibling, they would get to go to school every day and see them at least. And they weren't able to do that anymore. They weren't able to see their teachers and their friends. They weren't able to have any of the visitation with their parents or their families. And so they were in a home with people they didn't know, and that created a lot of issues. And so we had a lot of burnout with foster parents who were closing their homes and their accounts. They weren't taking any more kids. And then we had a lot of mental health services that weren't operating anymore.
How do some kids get into the foster care system in the first place?
Yeah, it's a very broken system. And so we have kids who are with their single parents who have to work and they're left home alone. And then, they end up getting put into care because there isn't child care in place. And then we have kids who are victims of abuse. And there are parents with substance abuse issues. It's a pretty complex issue. And there's a lot of things that impact it.
But there are organizations out there like yours that are here to help. Tell us about your group and what you do and your mission.
Yeah, so we act independently from any of the government entities, and we do that so we can approach each child individually, and we can meet them exactly where they're at, and that's why I love our organization as much as I do, is we can tailor each approach to each child and each family, and we try to provide all the essential services and give them immediate access. So we're not only putting a Band-Aid on the issue, and we're going to stabilize them, but we're also going to put things into place so in the future they can hopefully go to school and thrive and make friends and socialize and play sports and just live a normal life.
Just hearing you talk about that, I can see that you're really passionate about it. Why did you decide to start this?
Yeah, so I'm a social worker. That's all of my education and background. I had worked in the Allegheny County Jail. I worked in Western Psych. I worked in anti-human trafficking. And what I was seeing is whether I was working with an adult or a child, they were all facing the same issues, and they were leading to the same outcomes. So further incarceration, homelessness, poverty. The kids in foster care are disproportionately represented in just about every social issue in this country. So whether it's incarceration rates, homelessness, human trafficking, they are represented in every single one of those systems. And so as a social worker, I was just really angry, because whether it was kids I was working with or adults who were failed as kids, it was all things that we knew like was happening, and we weren't really doing a lot about it. We weren't even really talking about how it didn't work. And so as a social worker, I didn't want to keep going to work and talking to the families and telling them to trust me. They can trust the system. That just wasn't working for them. And so I just quit my job and just I kind of did it. And here we are.
So tell us about some of the success stories.
Yeah, so I've been like really fortunate that I've gotten to see a lot of kids just thrive. And so one of them is, we had a little girl who was in the, one of our programs, and she had some really complex PTSD, and so she was not able to socialize with other peers her age. She had a really hard time with the appropriate socialization, and so she was kicked out of a lot of schools. And so she came to us for 5 months and we just transitioned her back to a daycare, or a pre-K program, and she's thriving with other kids her own age, and she's just living a normal life like any other 5-year-old would live. And then we had not a little boy anymore, but who I had worked with when he was aging out, of foster care, and we worked with him to get transportation in place so he could go to CCAC at the time, and we gave him a grant so he could buy his textbooks. We helped him find a job, and and a few other things. And then I worked with him on all this trauma, and I just found out a few weeks ago that he got into medical school at the University of Pittsburgh, and so he will be going there in the fall, and I'm super thrilled for him.
How does that make you feel to see that?
It's really nice. It's a great reminder of why I have to keep doing it, even when I don't want to and I don't know how I'm going to keep doing it. I can look at him and the kids who are like him that we've been able to help.
Still ahead on For the Record.
At this point, we have several children who are in shelter settings, unfortunately.
Helping local children, and one of the major challenges the people trying to provide foster care are facing. Welcome back to For the Record. As we talk about the need for foster care in Pennsylvania, there are challenges, including finding homes for teenagers. I sat down with Dawnette Schrum from Beaver County Children and Youth Services to learn more. Thanks so much for being here. First of all, tell us about the challenges in the foster care system.
Well, the challenges are getting people to come forward and volunteer to do that, to provide a temporary home for children. We, in our county, we don't place a lot of children into foster care because we really try to maintain them in their home. We know that it's traumatic to be removed from your family, so we try to put the services in place and maintain the child as much as possible. But there are times where that's not possible because, the situation has escalated. So, we never know when we're going to need someone to step forward. So, getting families to volunteer to kind of be on hold for us and, to wait until the circumstances arise, and then, when it happens, to take that child in and treat them as their own, and, and provide for them, and just give them what they need until the family can fix those circumstances. But sometimes, foster families are eager and we don't necessarily have a child available, so it's almost like we have to have them on standby.
And that is a good problem, though, if foster care
definitely.
parents are eager.
Definitely, yeah.
Do you seem like you have problems getting enough people to sign up? How can you sign up if you're interested?
We definitely, can always use foster parents. We like to, when a child comes into placement and we have to take custody, We really like to find kin if we can, because we know it's easier for a child to be with someone who they already know. You know, that lessens that trauma. But in circumstances where there aren't any, then we do need foster parents. So in our county, you know, all we do is, you know, we have people just call in, or they can reach us through Facebook, or we have a card that I provided that has our code on there that you can scan and get to us. But we have caseworkers available who will talk to you and explain the whole process. And then we train our own foster parents. So we walk them through the whole process of, you know, getting licensed, and we provide a lot of training. And then we have a foster parent support person who is a clinician who is available 24 hours a day to assist those foster parents in whatever's coming up with the child.
Do you find there are a lot of children who are waiting for foster care families right now? What's the need right now in Beaver County?
There's definitely a need. We have, at this point, we have several children who are in shelter settings, unfortunately, or group home settings, only because we don't have families for them. So that, you know, that makes the trauma even worse. They're with strangers, and while their basic needs are being met, you know, not really their emotional needs that, you know, that would be met by staying in a family situation. So some of those group homes and shelters also are far. You know, we only have so many near us. So we currently have children that are placed 5 hours away from their families, and it makes it extremely difficult, you know, for families to visit, you know, during their process while they're doing their treatment. You know, so families that would volunteer, you know, especially with teenagers, you know, we really, really need those people.
Let's talk about teenagers. Is there high demand for them? They really need some help. And then they're close to aging out. Tell us about your program, how it's a little bit longer.
Yeah. So teens, you know, anyone who has teens knows they're difficult, you know. It can be very challenging, but ridiculously rewarding in the end, you know. A lot of times when we get teens in, they've really been through a lot. They've, you know, seen a lot. A lot of times they've themselves already dealt with a lot of adult problems. So they're what we call parentified. So it's challenging for them, you know, they're angry sometimes having to be in the situation. So foster parents, you know, we really try to train them to let them know that, you know, that anger isn't towards you, it's towards their circumstances, you know. So when we can get people in and really train them regarding teens, you know, sometimes it works out wonderfully, and they end up, you know, adopting a 16 or 17-year-old. So then that child has a family for the rest of their lives.
Tell us more about this training. This is very interesting. What are some things that they go through?
So we, in our program, we have foster parent training 1 and 2, which are provided right through our agency. A caseworker does those, and it really is just explaining everything that goes on in foster care, training them to understand the trauma that these kids are coming from, and how to kind of deal with that. But we also, our ongoing foster parents need 12 hours training a year as well. So we make that available to them regarding, you know, topics that would be beneficial, you know, dealing with different behaviors and trauma.
How do you protect these children once they're in the homes and make sure that these parents are vetted?
Yes. So all of our families in Beaver County, we train them all ourselves. We don't contract out like some counties do. And our caseworkers are out in those homes regularly, meeting with the kids, meeting with the foster parents. We make sure that things are really on track. And then we have that foster parent support person, so he's involved as well. So, you know, we know what's going on, and we know that the kids are safe, and if something comes up and we need to move them, then we do.
Okay, well, thank you so much for being here.
Sure, thank you.
Still ahead.
We knew immediately that we were doing the right thing. This was a need for us as an institution.
The new mission at Carlow University, helping children who've come through the foster care system as they move into the next phase of their lives. Welcome back to For the Record, helping children who have grown up in foster care or have been homeless as they enter the next stage of life in college. Our Shannon Perrine learned about a new program that's about to officially launch at Carlow University.
Today, I'm speaking with two people from Carlow University. We have Molly Cecere and Kenneth Smythe Leistico. Welcome to For the Record.
Thank you.
All right, so I want to know more about this Carlow Community Scholars Program. Molly, let's start with you. What is it?
So it is a program that aims to serve both youth aging out of the foster care system as well as students experiencing homelessness. Carlow decided to start this program because of the disparity in getting an education for foster youth. So we know 85% of foster youth intend to go to college, less than 20% enroll, and less than 5% end up getting a bachelor's degree. So Carlow decided we needed to respond. So we received some seed funding and started this program. It's officially supposed to start this fall 24, but our community saw a need, so we launched a pilot program starting last year.
Okay, so the pilot program,
Yes.
Kenneth, you can tell me, have you
Sure.
seen some successes with that?
We have seen successes, and those successes came with work. We know from a study that was done back in 2018 in Texas that just providing money and resource was not enough. Within that program that looked at 4,000 youth, only 1.5% were graduating. So we knew that we needed to wrap ourselves around these youth and look to other programs that had been successful, which is why we reached out to Western Michigan, which has had a successful program for 15 years, which we could emulate and Carlowize, as we always say, because you do have to give it a local flavor, but to fully provide wraparound services and supports using our student services as well as our academic supports.
It's interesting to me the history of Carlow University in the city of Pittsburgh.
Yep.
The Sisters of Mercy, right?
Yep.
Started this. Is that mission sort of woven throughout this scholars program?
Yes, absolutely. So it really dates back to our founder, Catherine McCauley. She herself was a foster parent. She fostered 11 youth, and she came to Pittsburgh to really sent 7 sisters to Pittsburgh to meet the next great need. So we've continued to do that with whatever type of programming that we do at Carlow. So I would say this is woven into us. It's our DNA. It's something we're not obligated to do. We're called to do it at Carlow.
Okay, interesting. So, and then Kenneth, tell me a little bit more about some of the barriers that young people who have been foster children face when it comes to graduating from high school and then getting a vision for the future.
Absolutely. And it's a challenge. As someone who was a first-generation college student, I can be aware of some of those challenges, but there's unique ones to this population as well. Finding and being able to have someone support you while you're filling out the applications, the financial aid documents, having access to even tour and visit sites, campuses is one of the barriers. But once they're there, ongoing barriers that exist are the need for employment, the need to maybe have student supports and services, housing. Housing is a major challenge. Several universities close during holidays and sometimes during the summer. So year-round housing was one of the barriers that we wanted to tackle and make sure that didn't get in the way.
Okay, so as part of your pilot program, let's talk more about that housing. Whoever wants to answer this question too, what do you do at Carlow Scholars Program to make sure there's a roof over these individuals' heads?
Yeah, so we've allowed students to remain in our residence halls, and some of them consider our residence halls their primary source of housing. So they stay in our residence halls over breaks when the universities close, as well as throughout the summer. We also make arrangements for them to have food available as well if those things are shut down. And then Carlo itself has a place called the Purple Door, which is a food pantry that students can access as well.
And,
So,
right, any student.
yep, any
Right.
student.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. So, and then how in your program do people even get into the program? I know it's just getting off the ground, but here we are on television and we're in
absolutely.
Pittsburgh. What do you want to say to Pittsburghers out there about entering the Carlo Scholars program?
Yeah, so one of the things we immediately did when we came up with this program is how do we find students, right? So we actually added a question to our admissions application this year for students to self-identify. We were shocked, I would say, at the results. We had 50 students that came through our admissions process that checked a box to say they've either experienced homelessness or have gone through the foster care system. So we knew immediately that we were doing the right thing. This was a need for us as an institution. So that actually allowed us to have conversations with them a lot earlier and help them with the FAFSA and all of those things. So that's how we're enrolling the incoming class. But last year, because we launched this as a pilot program, it was really through referrals. So referrals from outside community partners with the Homeless Children's Education Fund, referrals through DHS, referrals from our faculty. I went and stood in front of our faculty and, talked about this program, and all of a sudden we're getting emails. I have a student that meets this need. So it's really been kind of a grassroots round up thing, and we're looking forward to officially launching it. But I think it's been tremendous over the last year that the pilot program has been able to use the student voice. So they're kind of helping us build it as we go, which is amazing.
Stay with us. We're going to tell you about some resources and how you can help in just 2 minutes. Welcome back to For the Record. We want to take a moment to talk to anyone in the Pittsburgh area who is considering becoming a foster parent or maybe looking for a way to help. If you log on right now to the WTAE mobile app or WTAE.com and click on this article for the program, you'll find links that will let you know how to get started and where to find support services in your community. Thank you for joining us. Have a good week.